Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 4th episode of our Call of Cthulhu RPG game. We are using the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu rules from Chaosium. I am very, very excited. This is the penultimate episode, which means there's only one more episode of this series after this. So things have gotten very spicy for our investigators and will continue to do so. A quick word about Call of Cthulhu. It is a horror game that plays a lot with themes of sanity and madness. So if that is something that, you feel unsafe having in your games, this may not be the show for you. Just, do what you need to do to stay safe. But yeah, I guess before we dive in to anything, let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. My name is Celeste Conowich, and I will be your lore keeper.
I'm Eugenio, sometimes known as DM Jazzy Hands, and I am playing Alejandro Huerta, a medical student at San Francisco.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't have Twitch open. I don't know what order I'm supposed to do this in. I've done it 3 other times, and I've forgotten every time. Hi, I'm Kaylee, Hoppa Barbarian on Twitter, and I am playing Faye Gladstone, the jazz singer.
And I'm Sage, and I am playing Inez, your friendly neighborhood homicide detective.
Yay! Oh my gosh! And so this motley crew has survived pretty well for 3 sessions so far. We got a lot of clues about what's sort of happening last game. So before we dive in, let's do a quick recap and let's just go over everything that happened last time we played. So where did we begin?
Begin? Oh, Lord.
Big trouble.
Yes. Basically, you had just exited Marco's house. Marco's the artist who sort of inspired this whole situation. You had phoned for help, and we're basically waiting for a cab when we started last time.
Yeah, we had seen that
And
Vlad
our
had
favorite
taken
cab
off.
driver.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Truly the best NPCs in this whole game
Yes.
are the cab drivers.
My personal work of art. Yes.
And so the first one rolled up, and she was very annoyed at having to drive us around and to make more than one stop. But
Yeah, that was on me. Sorry. I was just saying that was on me. I made her stop at my apartment. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, I needed my
She was
book
like,
bag.
I
I
guess.
needed my books.
Got the books.
I did. We stopped off at my apartment and I got some books of the occult, and then Sage. Oh, I tried to pass it back, and then you took a drink because that was a logical thing to do. I apologize. It's like a dentist putting his instruments in your mouth and then asking how your day is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so after we collected our books, we went back to the Weaver Sister mansion, and we Alejandro sat and did some serious occult research up in the library to try and figure out, maybe get some kind of clue as to what we might be facing. And Faye got some news after talking to was it the cellist or not the cellist?
He played the bass, yeah.
Terry,
Yeah,
the
bassist.
upright bassist.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, I'm so glad you remember his name, because I didn't make that up.
I took notes.
I did too, but past me hates future Kaylee.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I took notes an hour before we played as I re-listened, so don't feel too.
Look at you being all prepared.
Look at me.
Yeah, spoke to him, and he was able to give us the lowdown on the gangsters that we met at Marco's house, and told us not to mess with them because they were dangerous. But I don't think we're gonna listen to them.
Yeah.
If we survive that long,
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
you knew that
we'll get to that.
You heard the big man's name that you had seen. He was called
Pookie.
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 So Terry recognized that name and was like, yeah, Pookie has done the circuit, kind of working for some speakeasies, but now he's working for a woman named Regina Durant, who's sort of a big deal in the Little Italy mob scene. So she was the one who was warned, like, definitely don't cross her path.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. Having the restaurant in Little Italy where they own and do business out of
Giorgiano's.
Yes. Where we ended up deciding to head to figure out what the hell happened to Marcos, what he did to piss them off, also, and to see if she has any idea about what's going on too.
Oh. So that was one of the options you talked about going. You had a few other threads that sort of happened over the course of the day. Do you remember, Sage, when you spoke to the police station, somebody else had died?
Yes, that's right.
That morning. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Another individual had turned up and looking like the same cause of death, or the same thing that happened to her that also happened to Dot. And so that's right. And that's when we decided we should go to the morgue, because our dear doctor here could look at and potentially suss out something that's happening or what caused them to die.
Yes, so we headed to the morgue, and my dear friend Darnell. No, that's a good name though.
Daryl.
We should use Darnell for something.
Daryl. Sweet Daryl is a little sandwich.
Sweet Daryl. And what was that medical student who's been in school forever and ever when it was working the desk? Lindsay.
Yes.
Oh, Lindsay. Right. So we got past Lindsay and went to see Daryl, and we were able to examine the body, and discovered, so I had already made a few connections as I was researching through some of my books, just sort of occult rituals and facts about all kinds of cultures from around the world. I'd begun to notice a few connections to possibly something Egyptian. Some of the writings in Marco's books looked vaguely like, sort of poorly drawn hieroglyphs, ancient hieroglyphs. And so we went to the morgue, and we were told about a strange sort of laceration or mark that both victims had on the inside of their nose. And we were able to put together that this is yet another connection to the ancient Egyptians and their process of removing the brain, since that's what was wrong with both of these victims, through the nose prior to mummification.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. From the morgue, I believe we then headed to the studio, right? Or did we go back somewhere else? Did I skip a step?
No. Yeah, you went right to Sandy Lamott's studio.
That's right.
The photographer.
That's right. Yeah.
Who you had actually met. She was one of the people brought back to the Weaver sisters' house for safekeeping, when apparently all of you, while you were investigating Marco's house, everybody there was like, we've had enough, and they left. And Sandy obviously went and died real quick after that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
and we were checking out her studio, and Inez had stepped into
in the dark room.
The dark room, and noticed that this reptilian creature was sort of moving through all these photographs that were hanging up on the line over the chemical tank, until it became roaring out after her, and she's like, oh shit.
We don't know.
Hail.
Yeah.
We're not part of the apartment, and we don't know.
So that is where we are picking up. All of you are in Sandy Lamott's photo studio. as you had entered, the crime scene, basically the cleanup crew had just been through here. They had handed you the keys, Inez, and said, we're done here. We're clearing out. So it's just the three of you left in this apartment. You had started looking around kind of for clues, just anything you could find about what happened to Sandy. And Inez, you had decided to check out her photography darkroom. And as you had examined one of these photos that was in this line developing, you had seen again the marble columns and those strange hallmarks you've been seeing everywhere now in Marco's paintings, across his notes. But this photograph had not been empty. One of those lizard reptile creatures you keep seeing had been there. And as you were drawn towards it, you began to hear a hissing sound as the reptile in the photo disappeared. So, we are doing Call of Cthulhu Combat, which is very, very exciting. I'm going to go ahead here and say that my creature is getting a surprise round against you, Inez.
Sure.
So in light of a surprise round, because it's suddenly appearing in the room with the intention to attack you, so I need you to go ahead and give me some kind of roll that you think Inez might use to negate this happening to you. So maybe something like a listen or like a spot hidden, something that would give you kind of that moment to see if you get to make a reaction to this or if this creature is just going to get this attack off on you.
Okay. She would... I think she would go for like maybe psychology because she's like, it's like that moment of quiet right before shit goes down where everything seems to move in like slow motion and you're like, oh shit, this is my chance. And as she's like stealing her mind, getting ready to be like to face off with this thing.
Hell yeah, go ahead and give me that attack.
That is a failure.
Oh no! Okay, so you, what's happening? Like, as you hear a hissing behind you, the photo, like, you're looking at, it's gone. Like, how are you distracted, or what does this look like as claws, like, rake across Inez? That moment right before.
Yeah. I think because she's trying so hard to rationalize this in a way that is like, no, science can explain this. This is clearly not mystical. Like, there has to be some rational explanation because she gets trapped in that state of thinking to calm herself. It just like, when it actually claws out of the picture, she just can't even, she doesn't even know. She just can't even deal with that.
she just like can't. She can't even.
I got nothing. What do you want?
I think with that kind of explanation, why don't you go ahead and make me a sanity check as this is happening?
Oh, yeah.
Based on that failure, and it's just too much. Like, let's see.
Oh, that is a critical success. It's a super good.
Okay, then, so while you're like, this can't be happening, it's not like breaking your brain. You're just like, what do I even do in this situation?
Literally what the three of us are asking right now.
Yeah.
What do we do?
There's no protocol for this.
So as this is happening, you can't see anything in the room with you, but you can hear, again, that reptilian hiss, and you feel something large moving around in this tiny dark room with you. So let's see. 60. Oh no, 6. Okay.
Oh no.
Right. Okay. So you feel claws like come in at your back as something like, again, you're not even sure, but it like rips at your skin feverishly. And you feel hot pain as it is getting a slash off. All right, everybody, full disclosure, this is my first time running combat in Call of Cthulhu, so thank you all for your patience.
We're in this together.
Great.
Okay, and we've decided to use a D4 for things instead of a D3 because, dear God.
Easy, but...
What's my damage bonus? None. That's great for you. Okay.
That's such good news.
So you are only going to take 1 point of damage
Okay.
as It feels like you would almost describe it as like a set of paws. Like if a large dog were to jump up on your back, you feel these two raked claws travel down, so that just flash sharp pain as these wounds bite into you. So that was the surprise attack. So now how Call of Cthulhu works is turns are very loose. They're not really like 6-second, rounds that happen. It's basically like each round is enough time for everybody to act in an appropriate sort of manner. So to determine order of this, we're going to look at our dexterity scores. So the person with the highest dexterity score will go first.
No.
I have an 80.
My dexterity that high. Oh, good.
So Inez has an 80. What does Alejandro have?
A 60.
Okay.
I
And
have
then
a 70.
Okay. Faye has a 70. Alejandro has
Oh,
a
blessings. All right, I'm
60.
good. I'll go last.
What on earth am I gonna do?
Okay.
Godspeed.
All right.
Yell? I yell. That's what I do.
So Inez, you move first. So as this creature gets this kind of periphery hit off on you, you have a couple options here. So in combat, you can always choose to attack. Hang on. Nope. Okay. You can choose to dodge. You can choose to fight back. Or if there's anything else you want to do, it'll usually fall under maneuver, which basically will determine based on like what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to wrestle or disarm or do something like that, it all falls under maneuver. So dodge, fight back, or something else. What would you like to do?
First, she's gonna call out, "Help over here!" And she is going to immediately reach for her sidearm and fight back, shooting into the darkness.
Neat.
Want to attack the darkness.
It attacked me. It started it.
It totally started it. Yeah, so quick note again about kind of the layout of this photo studio. It's not huge, and it's also a very empty room, so all of this sound echoes horrendously like across the studio here. The dark room itself is like the size of like a walk-in closet.
Right.
And then the studio is sort of like a 15 by 15 foot kind of room. And then you have like a small kitchenette kind of off the way. So that's what we're dealing with here. Alejandro and Faye, I believe you're both in that little 15-foot kind of studio room right now, and Inez is like locked in the dark room here. So it is very small, so that's good, but you can't see the creature. So I'm going to go, yeah, I'm going to ask you to make a luck roll to determine if you're going to be rolling this with disadvantage or just normal.
Okay.
In this situation.
Where's our? Oh, there it is.
Oh, that is an 80. That is a no.
Okay.
Oh no.
All right, so you are off guard. There's like equipment shoved around you. There's tables, there's trays of like chemical solutions all around you. So you are going to be rolling to try and hit this thing with disadvantage, which means so roll twice with your tens die, and then go ahead and make me that firearms check to see if you can hit this thing.
I just fail. I get a 66 over 60.
Yeah, so you're trying to like shoot at this thing, and it's just like you're splashing like solution all over the place, and like some of it actually gets on your clothes, and like you smell the acid
It's
like
stanky.
starting to burn away, and you can tell that there's something scrabbling around in this room, and it clearly doesn't stand at your height based on like the sounds. It's weaving sort of on the floor, so maybe it's moving on four legs.
No.
Yeah, but you can't see it. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead to Faye. What would you like to do?
I run to the dark room and I throw open the door.
Okay. You see Inez and it's loud when Inez fires off this shot. It just like echoes through this whole room, and it's so loud. But you see Inez is just like shooting at something, and now like everything in this room is just chaos and all over the place is what you see.
I have my little derringer.
Mm-hmm.
Can but I don't see it, what she's shooting at.
You don't see anything.
Can I try and just like grab her and pull her? Because does the dark room have a door, or is it just like a curtain or something?
Yeah, it's sort of like one of those like foldy screen doors.
Can
So
I
you
try
can-
and just like grab Inez and slam the screen?
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you're trying to make a maneuver. So
Yeah.
for something like this, you're like grabbing a person and trying to pull them away. So I think that would be like a brawl check.
Good.
So
Specialty.
go ahead and give me a brawl since you're doing a grapple.
Okay. I know what my that's a 23. I imagine I don't have anything.
Nice.
Well, actually,
It's pretty good.
I don't know if I have fighting brawl 25, so it has to be under 25.
Yeah. you did it.
Yes.
Woo! So you look in there and you see Inez like has her gun out and is firing in the and it's a mess in here and you're just like, and you go and you just pull her out, and just shoving the door closed behind you.
Total panic maneuver, just like get out of the. I don't know what.
It's in there.
Yeah. So you do. You pull it out and you shove this door closed. I mean, it's like a cardboardy kind of thin, like aluminum door. So it's not the strongest thing in the world, but it is closed. And then Alejandro, what are you doing as you see? Yeah, Inez gets pulled out into the hall and.
What the fuck was that?
The monster.
We should go. All right, so
You can definitely spend your turn running away if you would like to do that as well.
I mean, I wish that I thought he would do something more heroic, but I don't know that he would. I mean, I think I would say we should go. We found out what we need to as I'm running to the door, and I think I want to run away.
Sure, yeah,
That feels so wrong, but
No, you begin booking it out of there and you're like running down these steps here. And it's like right at this moment, Alejandro, you make it to like that first landing, like on the staircase of this apartment building that had a bunch of these stairs that you had to go down. There was no elevator in this building. And you, all of a sudden, Faye, the door is like rattling and shaking as something massive is throwing its weight against it. And then Inez and Faye, you see something punches a hole through the door. So it's something about the size of maybe like a fist, like punches through. Of course, you don't see what it is. But let's see, because Faye's holding the door. So Faye,
Oh no.
you are being attacked. You have a few options here. Are you dodging generally? Are you trying to fight back? Or is there something else you're trying to do in response?
I am dodging, probably.
Okay, perfect.
I would be fighting back, yeah.
All right, so if you are taking the dodge action and I am taking the attack action, you go ahead and do your dodge, which I believe is a skill on here. Yes.
Yeah,
so you roll a
my
dodge.
dex.
And then I will roll my attack, and we will see who wins.
If I have to hit below half my dex, I did not.
35. Oh dear.
Okay. Well, let's see.
That was a 45.
Oh.
Okay.
Curses.
Ooh,
All right. That's gross.
just gonna put these in
This
shape.
is fun.
I have one of those.
Ooh. So as this thing punches through the door, Inez, you probably see this first. Like, as this happens, something like stabs into Faye's chest. Like some kind of like a tentacle of some kind that like spears through. And again, you can't see this, but just the spray of blood like comes out of you as whatever this is like stabs you. You're gonna take 4 points of damage.
Oh god.
So many.
Oh my god!
As this happens. And you can feel, Faye, like whatever this is, it's still there. It's like it like twists like it has barbs or something.
Oh no!
Oh my god.
Shotgun,
Inez.
shotgun!
Inez, what would you like to do?
Shotgun!
Since it kind of looks like to me at least, that Faye's been pinned back somehow, or it's like it's
Yeah,
like
she's
struggling
like
against,
there, and like
yeah.
something is in her chest, and she's
Yeah, so-
clearly in pain. Like,
So yeah, while she thinks that she has an opening, she is going to try and tackle this thing onto the ground. And is just gonna like dive and like try and grab and, and pin.
sure. So sort of right now, it's like it's still behind the door, the mass of this thing. It's just like whatever it is has like punched through the door
Got it.
to
Okay.
hit Faye. So you could definitely, I mean, throw it open.
Yeah. Yeah. She's gonna throw it open, then try and dive tackle.
Okay. So first off, since you're throwing open the door, go ahead and roll me a d4.
Okay. Oh, damn it! That was the one die I didn't get out.
She's opening the door. Do I have to move with the door?
We'll get to you in a second. So as this
no.
happens, Faye, why don't you make me a luck roll?
Oh, good.
Oh,
good, good,
no.
good. Hang on. Where's my other dice? Because those ones are in jail. 21.
So you passed.
Oh.
That's nice. So Inez, as you
That's nice.
So this is like a folding door that kind of goes into like an iron like pocket thing on the edge. So you throw open this door and you see that like Faye's chest sort of pulls like with it, and then you hear this horrible like reptilian shrieking sound and like a severing sound as this door closes. And all of a sudden, there's this spray of like purple that happens as you hear this horrible noise. And then you, Faye, you manage to like pull back. And both Faye and Inez, you see this, you gotta call it, I guess, a tentacle that like suddenly appears and is like flopping on the floor, covered again in this purple ichor. And it's, yeah, sort of this dark reddish color with all of these like barbs on the end of it, and like these little suckers is flopping around on the floor. It's like nothing you've ever seen, nothing from this planet. Make me sanity checks.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Sorry, I left you all, but not really.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
Super good.
I'll come back, but oh no.
A hard success.
Oh no, Faye.
Oh,
no.
Faye. Oh, sweet
Oh,
baby
Faye.
angel.
93.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
That's
Oh,
enough.
no.
I saw my friend's dead body today. I got stabbed with something. I'm out.
No, no, no,
Today's the
ma'am.
day.
Not with something. With a tentacle.
Tentacles.
A barbed
An
tentacle.
invisible tentacle. Now it's worse because I could see it.
That somehow it is worse, yes.
Roll me a d6 to see how much sanity you lose, my friend.
Oh my. All of it. Just all of it.
It's gone.
Is that
You rolled a
six?
6. You're rolling. Your dice are rolling gangbusters for D&D.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh my
I
God.
roll low for Dungeons and Dragons. For Cthulhu, I roll high.
I
They're
am
full
deceased.
dice,
No,
Bailey.
you are
Guys,
deceased.
This is fine.
Oh no.
Fine. Everything is fine. Those are the only D10s I took out, and they're in jail. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. Well, why don't you go ahead
Oh.
and let's see here. So you go temporarily insane as you
Right,
take
well.
these 6 points of damage. So what do you think? What do you think this looks like?
It's a look.
It's
You will say
horror, but make
as,
it fashion.
As you are looking at this tentacle, you feel like there are still some of the barbs of this thing,
No.
still in your chest, like as you're looking down. So
No, ma'am.
perhaps that contributes. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah,
what...
I think I feel like those barbs are in there and almost like they're growing, like there's still something of this creature inside me, like spreading a root system inside. And I think of Dot and I think of Marco and his whispers, and I just lose it. I am just like I start to like try and get them out of me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
into my own wound, like ripping into it, trying to get whatever it is out before it takes me over.
Yeah, I think it occurs to you. You're like, you were in a kitchen, you saw a kitchen, so I think you run and you go and you find like a chef's knife or something, and you start trying to just like cut this out. So go ahead and roll me a d4 to see how much damage you do to yourself.
No, me digas.
No, ma'am.
No me jodes.
I feel so bad. Wow.
Oh no, we joked about dying.
What are you at hit point wise? You have 3 left. Oh,
you have so many hit points.
I don't know why.
Whoo. Okay. So Faye, so Inez, you see Faye, just takes off, and you hear horrible things just coming from the kitchen, but whatever this is still in front of you here. So that was just opening the door. So what? Oh
God!
You didn't actually even take an action here. So
yeah.
what?
God, she really wants to go and help Faye, but she feels like this is just gonna keep happening to other people if she doesn't find a way to like try and stop this creature now. And so she wants to go over to the developing table with like the trays of liquids on it and throw it over and see if she can try and see like ripples in the water to get a better idea of where it is.
Sure. Love this. Let's see. I want some kind of check, like as you're trying to, maybe like you're looking at like where the blood is, so some kind of like spot hidden or something to nail this thing.
Okay.
Go ahead with roll with advantage, since you do kind of, there is blood, like this purple fluid streaming from this thing, so.
Oh shit, that is a super hard critical success with a 4.
Hell yeah. So
what
I'm
luck?
Yeah. Can we share that? No. So I'll say, like, because you do so well, you like go and you flip over these 2 pans like right on top of like where the majority of this purple is spilling from. And again, it's that just reptilian hiss as this acidic solution, meant for chemically developing things, spatters over this creature, and you smell burning flesh as something begins to appear before you. You can see the places where it's injured, like where the acid hits it. So in front of you, you can make out the shape of this thing, which is sort of like Komodo dragon sized, on all 4s, as it's here. And then those flecks coming from a tongue sort of situation in its face. But you can really only see, these burn marks over the general shape of this creature, and as its scales are being eaten away and that smell is emanating from it, you can now definitely see this creature. It's not hiding from you anymore. You instantly put together, like, apparently when it's hurt, whatever that's keeping it invisible goes away.
Very cool.
Sick. Okay, and then we're gonna, I think Faye is good. Faye is doing this.
Super great.
Faye is doing this right now. So that's what Faye is doing on her turn. And then we are back to our monster, which is now extremely upset that you've spattered acid all over it.
Good.
And you just see like the stump of this tongue tentacle thing flying around now as it like turns to face you, and like purple fluid spatters across your body as it goes in, and it's gonna try and do claws since you ruined its mouth.
Tongue Situation is going to be the name of my new metal band.
That's a good one. This tongue situation. Oh boy. I got a 37, so it is. Or I'm sorry. Would you like to dodge, or are you fighting back?
She'll dodge.
Okay. All right. So I got a. Go ahead and roll me your dodge.
Let's see here. Okay, so 40. Nice. 17.
Woo!
Hard success.
Okay, so since we both succeeded, we look at the difference between. So the difference between 37 and my attack score is 13. So what's the difference between your dodge and your success?
40 minus 17 is 23.
So you win. So you don't take any damage. So how do you fend off this? What does it look like when you successfully fend off this attack?
Yeah, she's seen after being slashed by these claws before, now seeing the shape of this monster come into being. She's ready, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm onto your tricks."
Oh yeah. You're like, no, no, no. And you like block it. Yeah, just in time. You know, you get the table between yourself and it as it's like crawling after you on these 4 legs. You know, the way like reptiles run really fast when they want.
And their little legs do the swing.
It's very freaky. All right. And then Alejandro, you hear a lot of noises coming from behind you, but you've made it to the first landing of the stairs. So
I made it to the first landing, and I whip around. I say, now what the shit?
I think
You were supposed to...
because the doors open at the end of the hall, so I think you can like go back and you see like Inez is fighting off some kind of creature, like modeled something. I think Alejandro seeing that has to make me a sanity.
Oh,
Also,
for sure.
seeing Faye stab herself in her
Oh, he
heart.
hasn't seen that. She's
Oh.
gone. She's gone to the kitchenette. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, don't worry. There'll be another
Don't
sanity
worry.
check in my future.
You can hear that
Where is
though.
it?
You can-
You
There
sure
we go.
can. Everybody can hear that because I'm not doing that quietly.
That is a okay. Well, Inez fighting doesn't quite get to me. That's a 42 for a 60 sanity, so we're
Okay.
okay at the moment.
All right, you are fine. What's getting
I
you through this?
I'm
What's
really not
Yeah.
fine. No, actually, seeing it is way better, right?
Mm,
Because I have like I have seen some shit right in the hospital, so actually being able to see it is way less horrifying to me than being attacked by something invisible like Faye was when we first met her.
yeah. So what are you doing?
Once again.
Crying softly. All right. So I guess I'm gonna go help Inez. Oh, blessings. I can see it now. So I have something to do. So I'm gonna go try and help Inez to get it off of her, all the while screaming, okay, when we do this, we have to go.
All right. So Inez is like kind of backing up out of this room, and this thing is pursuing her. She's holding it
Right.
off for the moment. So what exactly are you doing?
Where is Faye is not visible where we are.
Mm-mm.
Just screaming.
Shit.
You hear screaming, Faye screaming from the kitchenette.
I will. Oh, okay. I will so I have. I don't know. Well, whatever. All right. So I in my cute little doctor shoulder bag thing.
Yes.
Right. I'm gonna pull out the first thing that my hand grabs.
Okay.
Hold on, because I have a list of what's in here, and it's
Nice.
we're just gonna grab. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Well, that's not
What are we
helpful.
gonna
I'll
grab?
roll an 8. I grab a handful of small wooden tongue depressors.
Good. And please, well, I mean, the tongue.
And
You
I-
do see a
and I-
purple tongue flopping. I don't.
I said, let me
It's
just
not a
open and say ah.
Say
no,
ah.
and I say say ah. And I mean, I just throw them and then realize what I have thrown. But maybe it'll distract it. So I'm grasping it while tongue depressors. And so I just throw them at it. I don't.
This is great. I
love this.
hell yeah. Roll me a
Yeah, Celeste. What should I roll?
firearms
Hey,
for ranged
Sure.
weapon.
yep.
It says for ranged weapon, use firearms. So here
This
we
is
are.
exactly what this is. Absolutely. Here it is. All right.
Oh my god.
Nope. It's a 36, so I was relatively close considering I don't know how to use a gun
So I think
or a tongue depressor, apparently.
I think you hit the creature. Like it's hard
Right.
not to with a bunch of sticks. I just don't think it cares. Like as it's
No,
you know,
I don't either.
it's like on its legs, like running, like trying to eat Inez or whatever.
my
So you're
God.
just like pelting things from your bags.
Look, y'all, I am the researcher.
I'm the brain. Wait.
I'm the damsel in distress.
Oh, bless your heart. I'm the valiant warrior.
valiant warrior. We're up to you.
She kind of like shoots a look at Alejandro as he just throws nonsense out of his bag. And he's like, go help Faye. I think I can hold this thing off. And she's gonna with her pistol is gonna try and shoot at this thing again.
Go for it.
She thinks she can get a clear shot.
Yeah, now because it's running at you, I think for the first time you actually have a clear shot. You have a mark.
That's a success.
Nice. All right. So this thing is gonna try. It is fighting back. So let's see. Okay, it also got a success. So we look at how close we were. So I was at 8.
I was at 12.
Nice. Then you win. You get to do the damage. So roll for that gun.
Is it D6 for a pistol?
For a pistol, I believe it is a D6. It should be listed on your auto sheet in the bottom right inventory. It usually does. Otherwise, let me find the table. Oh my gosh, there's so many things in this book.
I'm so concerned.
A D6 sounds right though to me for a pistol.
Yeah, because I think a shotgun's like a D8.
Yeah.
5.
Oh shit. So, what does it look like when you kill this thing? Where exactly are you shooting it? What does the killing blow look like?
Yeah, so after she's thrown this acid onto it and seen how it affected it, she can see the outline of this creature. Alejandro comes in, throws tongue depressors at it. She tells him to run, and then she just like steadies herself with this utter zen moment and just perfectly levels her pistol, and just right as it goes to lunge in and slash at her again with its claws, she just bam right in the face, right in its nasty tongue mouth.
Yeah. You
get it.
You do so. And with that, like, that trained marksmanship, you take your moment, you level the shot as this thing is, like, lunging at you. And Alejandro, you're there. So you see as this happens, like, all of a sudden, this shot goes off, and it's so loud in this echoing studio. You've never been this close to gunfire before, I don't think. So as this goes off and as the shot goes like right into the mouth through the back of this thing's head, in an instant you can see all of this thing. So again, it's like that Komodo dragon sort of lizard size with this long tail and these horrible like hooked yellowish talons, and the thing is sort of a mottled gray, completely covered in scales. It doesn't have any eyes that you can see. It's just this its head sort of goes to like this conical point, and this tongue lashed out of it, sort of like an anteater shaped face. So this thing in an instant, like as this purple spray goes against the back wall and this thing becomes visible, and then for a moment, momentum carries its body forward before it crashes down with just a heavy solid weight and lands sort of smoking Inez at your feet.
She immediately like leans back onto the wall and is like just wiping so much buckets of sweat away from her brow, and she like leans back onto the wall and slides down on the floor and like looks at this thing in the face.
It's like, it's not anything from Earth. I've already made you make sanity checks against its appearance, but I think this is still incredibly disturbing.
Oh yeah.
And like it smells strange too. It's honestly like what's a smell that Inez would think is just like horrible, not like gross, but just like a smell that's just conjures horrible memories for you?
I think definitely definitely the smell of like burning flesh, because having grown up in Mexico and having, as she was as a young kid, having, the Spanish flu wiped through the countrysides and having so many dead so many people succumb to it, and having basically just a mass burial pit where they burned bodies to keep it from spreading to other living people. And I think like that kind of sense memory overcomes her as she just totally fucking loses it for a second.
And Alejandro, I mean, you wouldn't know this is weird, but it smells completely different to you. What's something that just a disturbing memory for Alejandro? What is this thing? Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a gross moment or something. Maybe it's like the smell of flowers when like your true love left you, or like something.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's the smell of the lilies that were at my grandmother's funeral.
That's exactly what it smells like.
Yeah.
It's so strange. So we're out of combat, so the scene is yours once again. Faye, I think you're still doing your thing.
I'm pouring my heart out.
Still screaming, I presume. So
Absolutely.
where we should go find Faye, which is sort of where I was headed, right before this moment of utter shock. And I'll shake it off and go find Faye because she is clearly still in danger.
Yeah, it takes you no time at all to like pop through that small door. And Faye, so you've already done 4 damage to yourself at this point. What are you doing right as Alejandro walks into the room?
I imagine actually that I was acting purely on instinct, grabbing the knife and then going into shock. And so kind of like trying to scrabble at the knife that's still in my wound.
Yeah.
And just starting to pass out because I am bleeding very heavily at this point, and just have to get it. I have to get it out. I have to get it. I have to get it out. I have to get it out. I have to get it out. I have to get it out.
Now this I can handle.
Yeah, no,
well,
I
we
don't.
Hope.
Yeah, I think with your training, I don't think you have to make a sanity. I think
if I'd watched her do it, maybe.
Yeah,
but if I'm walking in after it's been done, like it's a stab wound, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go deal with that. So I rush over and take stock of the situation, apply pressure to the wound. I don't know how bad it is. Probably taking the knife out, not a great plan yet.
You give me a first aid check to just deal with the
blessing, something I'm actually good at.
Periphery, just how to even where to start.
That is too close for so my first aid's a 16. I rolled a 59.
Oh boy.
So that happened.
Good. So I think you can look at Faye. You definitely assess shock. Her mental state is not great. But you see immediately like wound situation. Yeah. So you can get to it, and you pull all the right things out of your bag. And I think Faye, as this is happening, the manic mood that gripped you has kind of gone away. So you start to come back to yourself, suddenly realizing that Alejandro's there and he's like patching you up so you can return to your full faculties as this is happening.
And for what it's worth, I will for sure yell to Inez to find a phone and call an ambulance.
You see, she is just sitting shocked on the ground, like so still, you're not even quite sure if she's actually conscious for a second. She just like finally, after a few moments, very slowly and wide-eyed, just turns and looks down the hallway, towards the main living area, and like will just crawl on her hands and knees towards the door.
Yeah, the door, which is wide open, by the way, and like you are 100% sure that if anyone was in this building, they heard your shots.
Right.
But no one has, or if they have moved, they've probably run away or are staying in their apartments or.
Yeah, and she'll crawl into the hallway, and then look around and like pull herself up like on the railing, and start looking around for a phone.
Yeah. You do remember that there was one in the lobby downstairs, but that's like 5 flights down.
And she just sits down on the top of the stairs. It's just like, nope, We'll give it a minute. She immediately, like, she goes into her pocket for a cigarette and just sits there and lights it. It's just like,
Understandable.
Yeah. So Alejandro,
Mm.
you kind of finish doing what you can for Faye right now, but I mean, she's not
Yeah.
in immediate danger of dying,
Great.
but she needs medical attention.
Yeah, a few band-aids and a tongue depressor ain't gonna fix this.
No. Nope. And Inez, what do you think the general response time for the police hearing shots fired in Valencia? So it's the mission. It's sort of a rougher area. It is sort of we're getting to like 2-3 o'clock at this point. What do you think that response time might look like for your department?
I think it probably takes like 15 minutes, because it's like, oh, well, if there are shots, they're probably dead.
Yeah.
They probably run away, so the body's still gonna be there.
Yeah,
probably.
so low priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about, let's say, like a good 12 minutes pass before you hear sirens from outside.
She kind of looks up, puts out her cigarette on the ground, and gets up. Tries to dust off some blood off of her white collared shirt, and goes the fuck downstairs.
Yeah. And Alejandro and Faye, what are you doing? I mean, you got, it took maybe, 5-ish minutes or so to do everything you could, for Faye. So what's up? Are any of you doing anything with this body?
Yeah, I mean, well, Faye, how are you? Because I would definitely make sure that you are stable and not going to hurt yourself again, and like all of that before I did anything else.
Like stable. I'm like clutching. It's like, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it?
Yes.
And as soon as I know that, I'm just like, okay, cool. I can turn off. Goodbye. And I'm just like, ugh.
Great.
Just trying to like deal with the pain and the shock and everything that's happening, and staying very quiet until I'm told to do otherwise.
Can I it makes me nervous to take my eyes off of her for too long, but I do want to go check out this body. Tell me again where Faye is in relation to the main room.
So pretty close. I mean, the kitchenette doesn't even have like a proper door. So she's like on this thing, kind of like sitting on the tiled floor,
Got it.
So you're within 10 feet of her, wherever you
fine.
go.
Yeah. Okay. So then I will once she's sort of calmed down and, the shock has worn off, and I'll take the knife away just in case. And then I do want to go and have a look at this thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think I'm looking for two things. One, I just sort of want to get a good sense of what it is, what its shape is, what it looks like, so that I can look through some picture books to try and find it. But also if there are any markings or anything at all that would suggest yet another particularly Egyptian connection to me, that would also be sort of particular interest.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and make me, I would say maybe a spot hidden, but if you think there's something more appropriate.
No, I mean, not knowing too much about what I could find,
natural world. This thing isn't natural, or like
right. I was gonna say a cult, but actually, my spot hidden is now better after last week or last 2 weeks ago. So,
sure.
So yeah, we'll go with spot hidden. That makes sense.
Okay.
If I can find, here we go. That is wow. We're really just hitting it on the nose. So my spot hidden is a 30, and I rolled a 30.
Oh my god. Just scraping in here. Yeah, so as you're looking at this creature, I mean, it's definitely vaguely reptilian.
Okay.
Reptilian enough that, like, in tomb paintings of, like, lizard creatures, perhaps this could have been an inspiration, is your thing, but, like, it's so strange. I mean, the weirdest part of it is, like, this conical head, and the fact that it has like no eyes whatsoever. I mean, you can infer that it doesn't need traditional sight to see.
Right.
So it must see some other way or have some kind of other sense. So that's just sort of the generals you get there. I will say, because you did make the roll, like, you're looking at this tongue tentacle thing more specifically. And as you do so, again, this thing is like, so it must be like a lizard tongue. You know how they grab flies, they can like retract and like extend. And as you're looking at the end of this tentacle here, it comes to a very, very fine point, and you do see these little like barbed hooks, or sort of like little cilia that they can reach in or out, which would make markings very similar to what you saw in the nostrils of the corpses.
Oh,
Egyptian
God.
mind flares. Oh.
Oh. That doesn't help. It's just horrible. I wish I didn't. I don't need to know that. Oh, God.
Just bad all the way around, all the way down.
There is no good on that. Okay. All right. Okay. No. Knowledge is always power.
So there you go.
We're gonna plug up our noses next
was
time
my
we go out and
gift.
investigate.
That was my
Thank you
gift
for that.
to you.
We're gonna use the tongue depressors and create little nose barriers.
Breathe through your mouth.
I'm sorry, chat. People are like, I physically gagged. I'm so sorry. This is Call of Cthulhu. It's a horror game.
Good.
That's
It's
what
so
the content
good.
warning is for.
Okay. Well, gods above, can we please give Faye to the hospital?
Yeah. So I think Adez, you're trudging down these stairs, and you hear, that horrible buzzing noise that let you into the building, and big booted feet, as cops start to come into the lobby, and you kind of like make it down in time, and you see Frank walks through the door, and he looks so tired. He's been, working this case on, and he looks at you and kind of like, for surprise for Frank, is like one eyebrow raises vaguely, and then his mustache kind of, goes like side to side.
Twitches a little bit.
As he inhales, exhales, and like kind of opens, pulls like a sweat-stained notebook out of his back pocket, kind of flips it open. Well, I probably should have expected this.
And she's like shambling down the stairs, just like with her hands up, and she's just like covered in this nasty blood, foreign blood from this unholy creature.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to someone who's not in the know, it just looks like kind of you're covered in something. Purple, could be grape jelly for all he knows. As he's looking at you, he's like,
no, that is so viscerally tactile the way you described that. It's thick and chunky. Oh, God.
Yeah. Arterial blood. Yeah. So he's like, you okay?
You are gonna put me in a goddamn loony bin, but I swear to you, there is something otherworldly going on, and I shot it, and it is on the floor in the house, and I think it is the thing that got Sandy and Dot. I'm not actually sure I really want you to go up there, but yeah, let's. I think we could probably use an ambulance.
Okay. And he looks back at like, the two rookies who are like kind of standing on the doorstep before, and he like gives a nod, and they go off back to the car to make some calls. And he's like, all right, well, I guess. He kind of looks up at the 5 sets of stairs, and he like sighs. All right, well, let's see what we're working with. He kind of gives you a look too, like, that knowing look. He's been doing this for a long time, and the like, are you level with me look? As he kind of like scans your eyes, and he kind of nods to himself, and like huffs and puffs as he begins to walk up these stairs.
Yeah, Inez lights 2 cigarettes and offers one to him. She's like, "Get yourself ready, Frank."
Yeah, he does. So it's even worse the huffing and puffing as he stops on
Exactly.
each landing, kind of takes lets it out,
Yeah.
and continues up. Yeah, and he comes up into the apartment behind you, and he kind of scans around, and he's like, "So, where is it?"
And as she walks into the apartment again, all of a sudden it registers like, "Oh shit, Alejandro and Faye." And she like looks around and she's like, "Alejandro? Faye? Are you alive? Okay?
Um,
My partner's here. We're getting help."
Sort of poke my head up from behind the kitchenette counter or whatever it is and just, wait, okay, is it gone? Is it now gone?
No.
Oh, okay. He
No,
said, where is it? And okay.
Oh yeah, he did say, "Where is it?" You still see the body still lying
Wait,
right
wait.
there.
Okay, well, I'm going to ignore that then. I'm dealing with Faye. We're here, we're okay. Is an ambulance coming?
Yeah, and he goes and looks. He's like, "Jesus, hey, miss," and he kind of like leans down and gets down on one knee. He's like, "Can you get outside? Could you help her?"
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we're gonna
She's
get
stable
you.
for the moment.
Yeah.
We can get her as far as an ambulance and then she will need assistance, but she's stable for now.
All right, we're gonna get you outside, miss. You're gonna be just fine, okay? And he looks at you, and it's like if your dad was telling you that you're gonna be just fine. And he kind of waves you, Alejandro, to go and help Faye.
Yeah,
get
so
downstairs.
we'll take her. Yeah, so I'll take her. It'll take a while, but we'll get her down.
And Inez will bring Frank over to where the body is of this creature.
Yeah, and he's looking at you just like, so this is what, a suicide attempt, or
You don't see the large reptilian creature on the ground right there as she like points right at it.
I'm sorry, is this some kind of joke? I'm not really getting the punchline.
Okay, wait. Okay, hear me out here. Kneel down next to me. Come here. Put your hand is where my hand is.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you feel something.
So he does so, and you see his hand like interacts with like the flesh, like it would. But yeah, he just kind of like sweeps a hand over it and looks back at you, and he's like, "I got nothing."
No.
It's like he didn't touch anything, like he didn't feel anything.
And she like looks up, like her gaze pans very slowly from under the creature like down and just kind of fades upward. It's like, I'm not crazy, but have you seen that painting? Because that is maybe why I can see this thing and you can't. And Alejandro and Faye also saw this thing. This is not a joke.
He kind of frowns and like purses his lips and look at you. He's like, "Listen, Inez, I know you told me that you're working on something big, and you're trying to put the pieces together. And I'm not saying you're loony, but you're starting to sound a little off kilter here. So I think maybe it'd be best if you just go home and get some rest, and then maybe we can start over with the questions. I can buy you some time. We don't have to talk about this until tomorrow, but I don't think you should be going down to the station saying that kind of stuff."
She kind of nods slowly. She's like, yeah. Okay. And she's gonna go and try and pick up this reptilian creature.
Sure, it's like it's heavy. It's really heavy. So you're like kind of bending down and stooping, and he's like, why don't I just walk you downstairs? And you get a very firm kind of hand on your shoulder, the hand you use when people come like screaming
Mhm.
into the police station saying that, you know, fairies are trying to kill them or whatever.
Yeah, you're like, hey, friend.
You're like, hey, let's go outside. Like,
and she just lets out this big long sigh. She's like, okay.
okay. All right, have another smoke. We'll just take these stairs one at a time. And he starts to lead you, push you out of the room.
As she leaves, she just kind of puts her hand in her pocket just to make sure she still has the keys to Sandy's.
Oh, yeah, you do.
She makes a note of that in her mind, and it's like, okay. It goes downstairs to check in with May because she's like, oh my god, you look terrible.
Yeah, I think at this point, Faye, I mean, the officers outside have called an ambulance. So, Faye, you know, they've got you there, like, sat down on the steps, kind of looking you over here, you know, asking you some questions before they load you up into the ambulance. And they're going to take you back to UCSF. Actually, you probably... no, these are police teams, so you wouldn't know. But they're going to be heading back to UCSF. So... yeah, what would you all like to do? Because these ambulance people would love to just take Faye away, get her to the hospital. Right now, yeah, basically your partner is telling you, Inez, like, you can't come down to the station. You need to go home. So what's everybody doing with this?
I feel like before...
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Before too many more people come, I just want to look at Alejandro and be like, what do I say? I stabbed I can't tell people I stabbed myself. I will not be able to leave the hospital. What do I say? What do I say?
You tell them that you. I just
Real world
want to give you another
problems.
tongue depressor. Truly.
How do I not be locked in the hospital?
Right.
There's no good reason for me to be stabbed. What do I say?
Tell them that you fell onto an exposed. It won't make any sense to them, but yes, listen, it won't make any sense. They're not going to believe you, but hopefully it will trigger them to think that maybe you are either trying to hide from someone or protect someone. That will necessitate the involvement of an investigation, all of these things that will buy us some time.
Okay.
That is all we can do.
Yeah. Okay.
I will come with you. Inez, where is Inez? Why am I looking down like she's a small person? I don't know.
She's only 5 feet.
She's only
tall.
5 feet.
I'm not that much taller.
I mean, like, do I just start, like, cutting a cantaloupe and the knife slipped into my chest?
Perfect.
Do
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, Inez. Can you go back to the Weavers, update them, and get my books from the room upstairs, from the library upstairs, and bring them to the hospital?
You'll stay with me, right?
Yes. I will come to the hospital with you.
Okay. Yes. I will do that.
Okay. Okay.
Good idea.
Okay, so
So
both.
that's what we do.
So Alejandro and Faye load into the ambulance. We're gonna ride to the hospital, and yeah, you're sort of left there. And as you know, it's weird being on just a street with normal people walking around, knowing what's upstairs behind you.
She's covered in grape jelly.
Gross!
Come on.
So gross.
Come on.
You know, now that you think about it, Frank he didn't react much to the fact that you're covered in grape jelly. You're starting to wonder if he can't see it.
Damn it, Frank.
Yeah, after seeing him like not be able to like interact with it.
Well,
like,
it's weird because he interacted with it. It was just like it just like
there's some like when she saw that he was trying to do it, but like it didn't work for him. She's like, yeah, definitely some gears start turning in her head.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's sort of, clears his throat and is like, you need a ride home. I can get one of the boys to drive you home, but I got to get back to the station. Everything's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. I would appreciate a ride.
Mhm. Yeah, and he's like, Brown, and he like snaps, and then one of the rookies from the office, he's like just out of the academy, like just, and this week has been like the worst to be new, with all of the paperwork and everything happening, all these strings of murders popping up, and he's like, yes, sir. It's like, you're gonna drive Detective Mendez home, got it, and then come back straight to the office because I've got a stack 3 feet tall that needs filing. And he's like, yes, sir, of course, sir, stop stuttering. Yeah, no. Yes, sir. And he, like, inhales and then looks at you. He's like, Detective, if you're ready to go, I can drive you.
She kind of pats him on the shoulder. She's like, don't worry, it gets easier.
Good.
Well, it sure as hell doesn't get harder.
And he nods, and Frank's like, get some sleep. I don't want to see you at all in the station. At all.
You got it, Frank.
Okay. I'm gonna call your landlady. You know I have her number.
How could you not? She puts it in your pocket every time you leave.
And he kind of, puts his hands in his pockets and like strolls off towards one of the squad cars. And Officer Brown is like, and he goes towards one of the parked cars and goes around, and he like stops and then like goes to open the door for you, and then is like, I don't know.
She waves her hand at him and like just opens the door and gets in herself.
Yeah.
She sits out and she'll give him she sits in the passenger seat and she'll give him the Weaver's sister's address.
Yeah, and he doesn't know any better, so he's gonna go ahead and he drives you through, and he's like, so it was a bad one, huh?
There are easy days, and then there are hard days on this job, and today has been a hard day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great time to be starting out. It feels like, I guess you never really know how much crime there actually is until you're, I don't know, it's on your desk every day,
Well, if you can make it through through the end of this month, you're cut from some strong cloth.
Yeah, no, I got this. Right. And he kind of goes quiet as he drives you through the streets. And then when you're like, you're rolling up to Dolores Heights here, he starts like looking around at all the houses. And he's like, maybe I should look into being a detective at this salary. He's looking at these gorgeous houses.
I'm just subletting. Don't worry about it. We don't make that. It's not that much of a raise.
Yeah, and he parks the car, and he looks up at the garishly colored monstrosity that is the Weaver residence, and he's like, looks up and he looks at you, and he's like, huh. Okay. Well,
like I said, subletting.
Yeah, no, I gotta get back to the station, so I guess just give us a call if you need anything.
And she'll get out, close the door, do the double pat on the door, and walk up to the residence.
A little salute. Yeah. All right. Sweet. I need to refill my wine. 1 second.
Y'all, I am exhausted.
Real.
I was just sitting here like, also, I am sweating.
Oh my god, me too. the wind knocked my window closed, and I was like, no.
If this ever goes out audio-wise, I apologize to whoever's doing the editing because I got this sound in like my whole damn track. Ugh.
Look how full my dice jail is, you guys.
Of course. I mean, yes, but there's room for more.
There's room for you could fit some more in there. That definitely went pretty much as poorly as it could have gone for Faye. So
It's okay. You know what? It's on
Truly.
brand. So
That's
Yay!
true.
Oh
It's true.
boy. All right.
Oh.
So, I think for Alejandro and Faye, not too much. Well, a lot happens, but it's not so much cinematically. It's about what you would expect, like as you get loaded to the hospital, and then you have to wait, and then you get admitted, and then Faye finally gets a room, and Alejandro, like you're here, and you're recognizing all these med students, kind of curiously, like who's this girl you have with you, Alejandro? What's going on? But you manage to like smooth through the process as Faye gets checked in, has a routine examination, eventually gets a bed. She's fine. They get stitches. So it's an exhausting, I think, couple of hours. That winds up.
The only other thing I'll say is at some point between like getting a bed with at least a privacy curtain of some sort and being seen by an actual like ER doc, I just want to like check her wound and see if there's anything that like honestly what I'm looking for is something that might hurt a physician that's examining it, because there were barbs on that thing and I don't know what else, so I just want to make sure that there's nothing else like stuck in there or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, what do you want to give me, a medicine check?
Yeah, I can do medicine, that makes sense. Let's do these. Yeah, it's a 49 of a 75 score, so
okay,
good.
Yeah, so like as you're looking at the wound, you don't see anything like any barbs or anything that were left behind. You think that's probably all in Faye's imagination.
Right.
What is weird though, like as you're looking at these wounds, you've gone through a couple hours, you've seen the initial doctors, whatever. The edges of the wound are already starting to heal. Like very, like extremely rapid healing. Like where the skin, it's now like more like suckered, like after a couple weeks of healing, like almost on the verge, like you think this is actually going to scab over pretty quickly. Like for a major trauma wound like that, you're like, wow, it's just healing super rapidly.
Oh boy. Is it rapidly enough that it's going to like cause even more questions among the rest of the medical staff? Like,
I mean, if it keeps going at this rate, she's not going to have a wound in like 2 days.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So yes, we need to get her either covered and or discharged like quickly. Okay, cool. All right. Well, for right now, I'll just like be there as much as I can because we have to wait for Inez to get here anyway. So I'll just keep an eye on it and try and like make sure that it gets bandaged as quickly as possible and tell doctors that she's already been seen once it's been like, disinfected and whatever.
Sure. Faye, do you think you would probably be pretty like sleepy through eventually after the exhaustion and everything?
Gave me something for the pain. Come on.
Oh yeah, no, they gave you a little. I mean, they have no idea, so they gave you some morphine. You're great.
Yeah, then I am coasting, unless I'm getting some kind of flashback or something, which I think I'm probably okay right now. I'm probably just resting, trying not to freak out.
And Alejandro, what are you doing? Yeah, it's been most of this has passed. Faye is asleep now, in her room.
I mean, the only thing, because I don't have any of my materials, so I think at this point I'm just writing down observations, doing probably a very poor sketch of what I saw, but just something to keep all this stuff in my mind until I can get my hands on my books, because I don't know what else to do at this point. I mean, we can't fight it. I can't look it up on the internet. Uh,
Do a Google search.
I can't Google it with my iPhone. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm just taking notes, writing as much down as I can remember, and constantly watching the entrance of the hospital for Ines.
Sure. So are you in Faye's room or kind of doing this in the lobby?
I think I would want to stay in Faye's room and occasionally go out to check the lobby area to make sure that Ines isn't out there waiting. But I think I would be in Faye's room as much as possible.
Sure. So I think it's probably on one of these trips when you're coming back that you
Mhm.
walk into the room. And it's sort of odd. Faye has like kind of moved up a little bit, sort of into a slouching position, and one of her arms is like extended out onto those little tables, you know, where they put the ice chips and like food and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she's picked up a pen that was like left by one of the charts and like is scratching on a napkin just like by. She's drawing these like columns and
Oh, no.
squares. And she's completely unconscious while doing that.
Uh-huh.
You see her doing this.
Columns and squares, like in the painting.
I mean, she's no artist. Um,
Well, that was a read.
but
She's
does.
trying.
She's
Yeah.
definitely drawing. I don't know. It's up to you what you think she's drawing.
Yeah. Well, whatever it's, if columns is enough. I mean, that is similar enough for me to gently, so as to not wake her, take the pen, take the napkin. I will keep the napkin with my notes, and put the pen sort of in my chair where I've been sitting, and then think for a moment and look back at the table in front of her and just make sure that like there's not a little, cafeteria knife or fork or hell, I'll
Nothing
take the
sharp.
spoon just in case.
Yeah, and it's something you've seen like with people who sleepwalk too. You know, she doesn't like fight you at all. You know,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of like her arm like throws back over and she kind of like turns back in the bed and sort of like lets out a gentle snore as she resumes sleeping peacefully after you've taken these things away from her.
Yeah, I think at this point I'm gonna the next time an orderly comes anywhere near the room, I'm going to ask them to keep an eye out for a police detective and to show them in immediately if they wouldn't mind. The patient will want to make a statement about what happened, and we should make sure that happens quickly, so that I don't have to leave the room anymore.
Yeah, sweetie, right away. As soon as they get here. Yeah, the nurse pushes up her glasses and continues on her way.
Great.
And yeah, let's bounce over to Inez. So Officer Brown has left you in front of the Weaver residence.
So she will walk up and knock on the door
Mhm.
or ring the doorbell.
Yeah, and you hear like a frantic flurry of motion from inside, and Alice like opens up the door, and she's like, "How did it go? Wait, where? What? Oh!" And she kind of looks around and sees there's no one else behind you, and like sort of pulls you in.
Let's sit down. I would really like some tea.
Oh, yes. What kind would you like? I have black, I have green, I have herbal, I have some lovely oolong.
Black tea is good.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, you sit down, dear. And she's looking at you and kind of, doing the thing she did with the sandwiches, where she's like kind of watching, she's sort of half doing. And she makes a little pot and brings it out into the study, and
She's like, and as she like sits down, like slumps down in this like huge overstuffed chair, and she's like, "Can you see nasty shit on my shirt?"
yeah. Well, language, but yes. No, it's.
I apologize.
I'm sorry. What did you get? Were you painting or I?
So you can see it.
Yes.
So you've encountered this creature before. This reptilian snake, no eyes, barbed tongue,
The thing
potentially Egyptian creature.
the thing from the painting that we've all been talking about? I'm
Yes.
familiar.
Okay. Whoever hasn't maybe looked at this painting or can't see it, and it's as if it didn't exist to them. I shot this thing in the face. It was dead on the ground.
Oh.
And when my partner came up to inspect the body of this creature, it was like he had no idea it was there. And now he thinks I'm a lunatic because it wasn't there to him. But, and she'll like reach into her pocket, I still have the keys to Sandy's apartment, and it should still hopefully be there unless some other strange things happen. She kind of like throws her hands up in the air like, who knows at this point?
Yeah, and Alice listens to you and, you know, sort of waits patiently for you to say everything you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then she moves a hand over, like, and kind of pats your knee and says, "Dear, no matter what the world tries to tell you, you are not a lunatic. You are smart and capable, and you saw what you saw. The whole world has been trying to tell me that I'm a lunatic for as long as I can remember. But it simply is not true. So that's the first thing you must acknowledge. We are staring into the face of something that normal people cannot see. For whatever reason, we have been gifted the ability to fight this thing. I like to think of it that way, rather than the other way around."
She kind of nods and appreciates that, like, visibly.
So, while I don't know what this thing is exactly, at least we have somewhere to start on how we can fight it. We know a lot of things. The fact that, I don't know, it must interact somehow, via sight, via the mind, perhaps via the imagination.
Imagery, because the woman who had just died, Sandy, was a photographer, so clearly there's something about images.
Right. Well, that gives us somewhere to start. And I did follow up. Alejandro did ask me to contact some of my friends. I have gotten in contact with a professor friend of mine, happens to be in town, a world-renowned Egyptologist who would love to help us, Professor Hidalgo. I have set up an appointment with him with this information in mind, and perhaps he can give us some kind of insight to these hieroglyphs. I'm sorry, where are Alejandro and Faye?
They're at the hospital. I have to go meet them there. The thing attacked Faye, right in the chest, and so they, she was capable enough to walk, but at the hospital, making sure that she's okay.
Oh God! All right. Well, I suppose the best news we've learned so far is that, well, that these things can die.
She like lets out this big like yes, that's a silver lining.
Well, we do what we can. Here, I'll give you Hidalgo's card, just in case you need to go right away. And she kind of like shuffles around and looks and like pulls a card out from the dining room somewhere. She had it. So she gives over, it's like Professor Hidalgo Gray, a MD, a PhD, a ton of degrees. Like, whoa, like ancient history. Emphasis and
Professor Emeritus. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it has a direct line and address on it. So she hands that to you, and please don't hesitate if you need anything. And Vlad can drive you. Vlad, and she kind of like calls off. And from like a set of doors you haven't seen before, Vlad walks out. He's not in like the full like suit. He's actually got like a shirt that's kind of like got rolled back collars and has like kind of oil stains on it as he like walks out of this, might have been the garage door. And he steps in and he's like, yes. Oh, Ines, did you want to go to the hospital right now, right away?
Yes, please. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. Vlad, put on a jacket or something. You look like a regular... I don't know. Kind of hangs his head and like goes, yes, madam. And goes to the hall to retrieve a long coat.
When was the appointment that you made with Hidalgo?
Oh, he basically said he was going to be in his offices. He's working on something. They have a new exhibit at the museum down by the Palace of Fine Arts that he's been working on. So he should be there through the night. And
see.
he did say if we need to see him tomorrow as well. He usually gets in about 8 a.m. through the day.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. And she'll kind of salute with the card. And wait for Vlad to get ready before they head out.
Yes, he does. And, he throws a scarf around his neck and then sort of is ready to go. Leads you out the front door and will drive you to the hospital. What are you grabbing before you go?
Since Alejandro told her to grab the books and notes and stuff from the upstairs study, she'll make sure that she grabs all of those. She'll grab like the leftover sandwiches that Alice made earlier.
Mm-hmm. She made a bunch. You think maybe she got nervous and just started making more just in case?
Yeah.
Thank God we needed something to settle our stomachs after
some nice
that.
like tuna fish and pickle sandwiches,
Blessings.
Oh God, Sage hates it, but
spam
but Inez
sandwiches.
would eat it. Yeah,
it's good. So you can package those up and head back. So Alejandro, as we move forward in time, that same exhausted-looking nurse who you called in the hallway, she's like, I believe your detective friend is waiting for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing her straight in. I truly thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is an emergency ward, so I mean you're allowed back here, but you really shouldn't be bringing in too many visitors. So
No.
quick.
Of course. Official business and police business and that will be out of your hair as quickly as possible. Truly, thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm. And she, walks off somewhere with a clipboard. And Alejandro, you can grab. Inez is being made to sign a lot of entry paperwork and just asking for the badge and the whole.
Lord.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's used to the.
It's not
protocol.
Lindsay, is it?
No. Lindsay is guarding the door to death.
To the morgue.
She's the fucking ferryman.
Lindsay is Cerberus.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I love it. Woo. All right.
No, this is the trauma unit, so the victims here are
Right.
very much alive.
Right. For now.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
All right. I just can't. All right. Well, I guess if I've got my books, then I will let Ines know that Faye is okay.
Yeah. If you want,
perhaps more.
Definitely all take a moment to like rendezvous. They gave Faye a private room because she was a friend of yours. So it's a room with a door you can close and you can kind of jostle Faye awake if you want to have a conversation about what to do next.
Yeah.
As soon as we sit down, she'll of course pass all the notes and books and everything up to Alejandro, and then she'll be like, okay, so the strangest thing, apparently for whatever reason only we can see this creature. Maybe it has to do with the initial painting that we saw, but when my partner went to look at the body of this creature, it was like it was invisible to him. Not even just invisible, but like it wasn't even there.
I mean, the strangest thing is a pretty high bar these days, but yes. Well, since we're talking about strange things, it seems that whatever wounds it caused on our friend Faye here, they have already begun to heal at a remarkably rapid rate.
Yeah, Faye, you're like on the very hazy edges of morphine, so this is probably, yeah, I don't know.
Tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
For you, a very good thing. For us, and explaining what is happening, less of a good thing, I think.
Like
Interesting.
beef, right? Because I think I can go.
I'm fine.
Let's maybe wait a few more hours. Turns off the morphine drip.
Yeah.
This is great.
The best I felt all day.
Oh no.
Oh dear. Did you see Alice or any of the sisters while you were there?
Yes, I spoke with Alice, and she doesn't, of course, have any clue about what this thing is. And then she has this
Of
like,
course.
oh yes, and immediately pulls out the business card. She did manage to put us in touch with the Egyptologist, and they're working on an exhibit up by the Palace of the Fine Arts, and we should be able to drop in there and hopefully speak with them. And she'll pass the card off to you.
And I'll, hold it like a freaking lifeline because I mean, I was going to look through these books till I drop dead, but I don't know how much is going to be in them. So that's the best news after finding out that Faye was going to be okay, of course. All right. Well, I mean, it feels to me like we need more information. Obviously, whatever this thing is or these things, I don't think any of us believe that having taken out that one that we're done, do we? No.
I feel like, yeah, maybe there is more than one.
Marco did have a lot of paintings in his house.
Oh, no. Burn it down. Burn it with fire. Okay. So I think the next thing we need is information. I mean, that's all I can say. I don't know, and like I said, I can look through these books, but I think this Dr. Hidalgo is our best bet.
Do that before we go try and, I don't know, save Marco?
All right.
I know, I kind of forgot about him too, but I hopefully have an excuse.
My excuse is I think this is all his fault in the first place, but
My excuse is I was a little stabbed.
we're a little stabbed and drugged. You're fine.
Yeah, and so this all kind of like dawns on it. What happened to you?
What?
You got injured by this creature, and then I heard screaming. What happened? After
you were
ran away.
I don't know. It felt like it was still inside of me, and it was growing, and I was gonna like become like Marco and have to claw my own eyes out. So instead, I tried to claw it out from the source, and I found a knife and I tried to do that, and then I came to my senses. But by then, I was stabbed.
Okay.
Call of Cthulhu.
Luckily, that seems
in
to
a
be
nutshell.
Because I didn't have any other, like, I don't think, like, I don't feel like that anymore. So I should be
That's a
fine.
relief.
Yeah. No other lasting effects.
I'm glad you're all right. Yeah, no other lasting effects.
None.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, generally speaking, you have two big leads that
Right.
you haven't followed up with. You know where Marco's being held. You know that the restaurant will be opening in about 30 minutes or so. So Georgiana's if you want to deal with that, and Regina Durant, and that's one path. And then you do have sort of an open invitation to see Professor Hidalgo this evening at the Egypt exhibit down by the Palace of Fine Arts. Are the two sort of paths you've determined so far, but unless there's any other.
Yeah. Inez will definitely say that while I do eventually want to get to Marco, I feel like it's much more important that we try and stop this thing at its source and figuring out what it is, where it comes from. If there's any lead that we can get on that, I think that's going to do a lot more good overall.
I have to agree. I'm glad to hear you say that and make the suggestion, because I didn't want to pull you away from what is obviously important police work with Regina and all of that. But I agree completely. We must understand what it is that we're trying to deal with, because apparently no one else can.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the plan? You do have Faye here, who's needs to be in the hospital for, she's been put under like a 48-hour mandatory hospital stay,
Right.
and then they'll reassess.
Oh no, I'm gonna get expelled.
Be killed, or worse.
Expelled. Oh my God, he is Hermione Granger.
Does that
Okay.
make me Harry Potter?
No. Yes. Yes. It. Oh no.
I
Oh,
hate
Faye, I'm
it.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Ron.
Oh no.
Oh, Ronald. Oh dear.
Alice is Professor McGonagall. Alice is Dumbledore. Let's be real. I think
Vladimir-
Yeah,
Alice
Alice is Dumbledore.
Vladimir
other-
Filch.
oh my God, he's not that
Vladimir
bad. No. No. My heart.
Okay,
no.
well, I'm gonna go ahead and cast the rest of
The
this in my
ground
brain,
zero.
but oh, okay.
This is too much.
I just so like, okay, I feel like I would be able to tell like how incapacitated is Faye still from the morphine.
So between your knowledge of the layout and everything here, and the fact that Inez can flash a badge to not ask questions, you can definitely get Faye out of here. The problem is going to be like people check, every
Right.
hour or so on patients, so people are going to know pretty fast that she's gone.
Right. Okay. Well,
Like start to get up. That's gonna be fine.
this is going to be fine.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and
Faye,
I'm
you
just
do feel
there's-
a lot better than
Great.
I did.
I'll bet you do.
Like I
I'm
didn't
just
even-
a student.
I don't even have a wound anymore.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no way
fine.
I'm gonna get you discharged.
Nothing here.
It's
I feel-
fine.
I feel great.
I mean, I think after the next rounds, I think we need to go. I mean, I don't want to give up my position here, but I also don't want crazy Egyptian brain monsters to run loose around San Francisco. So I think we should go do this.
Okay.
Hypocritical oath moment. Or whatever. Hippocratic. Wait.
I mean,
Wait.
Freudian
No.
Freudian slip.
Inez will be like, yeah, no, if I could flash on some people, I can come up with a reason that, clearly.
That doesn't feel entirely necessary. Just show them your badge.
Oh, sweetheart, not like that. I ain't got those wiles. She like pats.
You'd
her,
be
like-
surprised around here. We're all very tired all the time.
She like pats her very flat chest and it's just like.
Oh boy.
Look, I mean, if her wound is not looking as bad as it did when it came in, then I can say that her sister called and they're taking in care of her. She's known not to be the most present. she like she like struggles to find words.
I mean, I definitely think that will get her out. And, you know, if I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble with, what was his name? Frank?
Oh, Frank will be fine. The toughest little bastard this side of the Colorados.
That was so
Yeah.
colorful. I mean, if we can, you know, what is the saying? Attribute it all to police business.
Yeah.
That might save my spot here.
Good. All right. Well, okay. All right. So after the next round, we'll look to make an exit. Good. I gonna go find some pudding.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
have some pudding?
I'll get you some.
Pudding.
I'm good.
So you all have some pudding, except for Alejandro. And, you know, the next round, you know, the nurse does her check and everything's fine. And then you get Faye up, you know, disconnect her from the morphine. And, you know, you, like,
Bless.
throw a coat over her, get her stuff. You heist Faye out of the building, you know, giving excuses where you need to. But it's
Sure.
a busy moment-by-moment place. So you manage to get Faye out. And Vlad is still there waiting for you faithfully in the
Good
Duesenberg.
old Vlad.
Good old Vlad,
Mhm.
truly.
The madam suggested that I no longer leave your side. You do not have to ride with me if you wish, but I will be tailing you.
Huh?
That,
A ride would be great.
yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, he goes around and opens all the doors, and he's like, Madam, are you all right? As he looks at Faye, who's sort of
Hi,
wobbling. Hello. And he sort of helps you, like, get into the car,
Hello.
do the geometry of sitting down in the car. Closes the door behind you. He puts your foot inside, you know, and
Yes.
then closes the door.
Yes.
And then he gets around. Where to?
Palace of Fine Arts. There's a museum, I believe, opening up an exhibit over there.
Yes. And he begins to drive off. It's about a 10-minute drive. Anything interesting happen in the car, or?
Faye?
Just-
It's like all of those videos of people coming out after like Novocaine, or not Novocaine, but like laughing gas or
Yeah.
something from like the dentist. And she's just like,
How
Hey,
long was I
guys.
there? Just a few hours. Man, that went quick. Wait, how long was I there?
Yeah. I will say probably about like 5 minutes into the trip or so, like the fresh air and the change of scenery, like starts to wear away at that kind of haze, and like, you know, you start to feel uncomfortable and tired, and like, you know, the hole is closing up in your chest quite rapidly, but like you were stitched up and like laying in an uncomfortable bed, and just everything hurts and you're dying. No, you're tired. You're tired.
time that I have gotten attacked by the scary monster. Can it be someone else's turn next time?
Yeah, seriously.
Come on
Truly.
now.
Yeah.
Truly.
What's up with that?
Yeah. And eventually you do pull up in front of this exhibit. So, basically, the Palace of Fine Arts and like all of these periphery buildings, a lot of them were built for the World's Fair that happened like just before the turn of the century. And this huge neighborhood in San Francisco was like all of these, a huge mix of like permanent and temporary buildings were up here. So most of them have now been disassembled or like closed down, but a few notable ones remain. So like this beautiful shining like dome that's surrounded by gardens, and this large kind of museum exhibit space is still open, which is where this Egyptian like exhibit is happening. So at this point, King Tut's tomb was discovered like 5-ish years ago at this point. So the world is pretty like gripped by like Egypt craze. It's really just like taken people's imagination over, and they love, hearing about the tomb of the curse of the mummy, and all this kind of stuff is big in pop culture. So capitalizing on that, San Francisco has opened its own sort of exhibit to Egyptology and all of these discoveries so far. So right now the museum is closed as they're getting prepared for this new exhibit you've heard about. So as you get dropped off and, Vlad offers to wait outside for you all, there is a security guard posted outside the door here. But you can say, you're here for Hidalgo, and they're like, oh, yeah, he's expecting you. So yeah, just go right outside. Don't touch anything.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So you walk in, and right now, like, this large, it's a beautiful, like, marble laid hall right now, and you see that most of these, there are a bunch of crates that have been stacked up in different places, and there are a few workmen moving between these crates here as they go ahead and set up these exhibits. The really impressive, like, as you walk into kind of this circular central space, there is this giant, like, 16-foot tall kind of obsidian statue of this man that has like a jackal head. I think, Alejandro, you would recognize Anubis statue, like, up above, that's just towering over everybody who walks in, and you see like these 3 different wings kind of off to the side.
Ominous.
Yeah. And one of these, workmen can, like, kind of help you out and point you towards Hidalgo's office, which is, like, down to the left at the end of the hall. You go behind the finery, and, like, there's just this wall of offices. And you eventually come to the door of this man who is stooped currently over some paperwork. You see his very small office is lovingly decorated with just books and little statuettes and these, like, parchments that have been sealed behind glass that have, like, Egyptian hieroglyphics all over them. This is clearly a man who is on theme. And Hidalgo is sort of he's a dark-skinned man with, like, sort of graying, silvery hair that's been, like, pulled back into a ponytail. His skin looks like he's been out in the sun a lot, so maybe he's actually done digs and that sort of thing. He looks very healthy, athletic, even for a bookworm. What?
Oh my gosh. Inez totally, like, as she, like, sets her eyes on this man, she, like, is, like, visibly, like, flustered.
Oh.
She, like, straightens up her blouse and, like,
Okay.
pulls up her pants and is like, sticks her thumbs in her belt and is like,
Okay.
Yeah, he looks up, as
right.
you step in. Yeah, amber brown, sparkling eyes that look up at you as you step into the room. And he sort of puts down his pen. He's like, yes, can I help you?
Oh, I really, really hope so.
"Can we
And I
sit
just
down?"
sort of...
Oh, yes. My apologies. I just wasn't sure. And he stands up and kind of indicates, there are a smattering of, like, nice chairs around the room. He's like, apologies. There are a lot of workmen coming through here. I wasn't sure if you were lost or...
No, I believe we have a mutual friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alejandro doesn't sit. I think he's just sort of pacing. And, like, later when we leave, he will realize and be sort of, like, sad that, like, he didn't... Things are so fucked up that he didn't even, like, care that he was amongst all of these amazing, fascinating relics. Like, he hasn't noticed yet, but, like, when we leave, he will realize what happened and be very sad about that. But for the moment, he just says, I think we have a mutual friend or a few friends in the Weaver Sisters.
Yes. Alice did give me a call earlier. Please, apologies. Hidalgo Gray. And he'll go ahead and offer a round of shaking hands to everyone. Yes, Alice called me and said you have sort of a strange artifact. I got her. I got her messages that she sent over, and I have. And he goes and he like kind of pulls out a drawer and like pulls out big scraps of paper that Alice has taken the time to copy over, and he's like, yes, I guess I can start. You can start.
Uh, Things have developed since Alice last spoke with you, but why don't you tell us what you've come to so far?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, Miss, do you need water or something? He's looking at Faye.
I actually, if you have some, would love some.
Yes, yes, of course. And he goes to like a small,
Sweet baby
a small
angel.
cabinet behind him. And he like folds it down. And it's like a tiny little mini bar. He just like starts pouring some water. I have some tea. Is coffee? Anyone?
Just water. All I need is water. It's been a long day.
Absolutely.
Coffee would actually be much appreciated.
Wonderful. Yeah. And by mini bar, I mean there's no alcohol in it. He's a
Yeah.
he's a straight cut man. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he'll give waters and coffees. It's lukewarm, but
Better than nothing.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. These papers I got, they're well strange to say the least. It's certainly not any standard hieroglyphics you would see. I'm afraid this must be some kind of modern interpretation. It certainly isn't from any of the dynasties that I recognize.
Are you able to recognize any bit of them? Translate any part? Anything at all?
Yes, pieces of them, fragments. It's not a cohesive story or language that I can really translate, but I can, of course, do my best to sort of break down the symbology for you. How familiar are you all with ancient Egyptian cultures?
Not at all. Please enlighten me.
Passing familiarity, but we should probably start at the beginning.
All right. Well, the ancient Egyptians, they believed in a wide variety of gods. A lot of our work has to do with interpreting exactly who these gods were and what they meant to the ancient Egyptian people. You see, all of these gods have sort of different roles, some good, as we would call it, some bad. But it's not quite as simple as that. But it does seem, well, if there was one god in ancient Egypt that you could say was overall symbolically, again, evil isn't quite the right word, but the god of chaos, I would say, is a reptilian sort of god named Apep, who is referenced quite frequently in whatever this document is. It seems there's a lot of snake symbology, reptilian symbology. It's very bizarre to see this in a modern context. I mean, Apep was, cities traditionally did a cleansing ritual to symbolically destroy Apep year after year to keep chaos away from their fields and everything. So if this is represented here, this might be linked to, I don't know, some might say occult, dark magic.
Dr. Hidalgo, I'm going to ask you some strange questions, and I want you to imagine that they make sense. Go with me on this, if you will. Do we know what these cleansing rituals were?
Oh, we do know. Well, there was some kind of. I mean, we don't know very much. There has been
Certainly.
a book that has been discovered all about Apep and the rituals conducted. It's not really clear if it's for or against Apep, but we believe these were the priest rituals that were used to offset or to control this beast in some way. In this book, and he shuffles through his papers. as he finds his note. Yes. The Book of Apophis. Apophis.
Apophis.
Apep is known probably most famously as the enemy of the sun god Ra.
Okay.
His great reptilian form would try to swallow the sun day after day, and Ra would fight it in return.
Got it.
This-
Just I'm certainly no artist or Egyptologist scholar, but would you say that, and I'll pull out the crude ass drawing of the thing that we thought that I made, and just say, would you do you think this could perhaps be a representation of this god?
I mean, Apep is shown in a variety of forms. It's sort of interesting, you know. Usually they forgo the humanoid body with the animal head and just portray a giant snake. But other reptiles have been represented as servants of Apep before, so perhaps this is something like that. I don't particularly recognize this image, but I mean, if you are dealing with Apep is a nasty god. When you say chaos, it's more of a spiritual form of chaos, like a mental form that might creep into those who turned away from the sun god. Or it's all very strange. The mythos surrounding him is quite interesting.
Dr. Hidalgo, where is this book that you mentioned was discovered?
Well, we do not possess a copy. We were actually, strangely enough, trying to get a hold of it for this exhibit. There is a dealer here in San Francisco who has a copy. I've been trying to get a hold of them, trying to follow up with them.
What
Regina
is her
Durant.
name?
Oh, Regina Durant. She's I've been put in touch with her. Apparently she knows who has this book. I'm trying to broker some kind of arrangement through her to procure it for our exhibit.
Interesting.
Great, cool,
Per-
awesome. Fabulous.
Perhaps we can assist in that.
I mean, that would be extraordinary. She seems to be a very busy woman, and it's getting a little frustrating that I can't get my hands on this book.
Well, we could go to her and talk to her for you, I guess.
Well, yes, we would be incredibly grateful. Our exhibit opens in just a week now, and he looks at a calendar. It would be fantastic if we could get our hand on a primary source of that magnitude. I honestly can't believe how a dealer would come into possession of such a thing and have it in the U.S. Getting that through customs must have been just horrendous.
Yeah, Inez kind of clicks her tongue, annoyed. Says, Regina and I go way back.
The white whale. And I think with that information, we're going to leave it at that for tonight to deal with in our final episode of Call of Cthulhu. So thank you everybody so much for tuning in. I am very, very excited to see how this all shakes out at the end. Yes! But yes, everyone, let's go around the horn and tell people where they can find us. My name is Celeste Konowich. I have been your lore keeper for the evening. You can follow me on Twitter at @ckonowich, where you can see all the other streams and things I write. You can also check me out at celestekonowich.com. But Eugenio, who are you? Where can the people find you?
I am broken, Celeste. I am a broken man.
I'm sorry I broke.
No, in the best of ways. That was so good. That was so good. The emotions, I actually started crying for like 2 seconds.
Oh no!
The emotions that just flew through me when I realized that Regina has the fucking book. Hi everybody, I'm Eugenio. Sometimes you can call me DM Jazzy Hands because I have an actual play podcast called The Last Refuge that I do, and you can find it. Oh boy. You can find me on Twitter at DM Jazzy Hands. You can find my podcast at DND Last Refuge. You can also follow me here on Twitch. Same name at twitch.tv/DM Jazzy Hands. This is sort of a weird, stressful, busy week, so I probably won't be streaming stuff too much, but I've been trying to do some Dragon Age and some Neverwinter stuff on there, and it's been super fun. You can also find me on Thursdays. We are restarting our Dragon Age tabletop game campaign on Thursdays on the Wandering DMs channel. So we are kicking that back off. This is only going to be session 2. We had to take a bit of a hiatus, but we'll be back with session 2 this coming Thursday. And then in a few weeks, keep an eye on the Twitters because I'll also be joining something that's going to be on Wednesday nights with yet another system, but we haven't been announced, so I can't say anything about that yet. But keep an eye for that because it'll be fun. What else? I think that's it, right? Sure.
All right, and Kaylee, who are you? Where can the folks find you?
Hello, I am Kaylee Bray. I have been the unluckiest player in the world.
Yes,
Oh, sweet
truly. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
God. No, it's my dice roll for story, and they always roll for story. Fine, this is fine. Everything is fine.
Yep.
I'm on Twitter at Hoppa Barbarian. Coming up, keep an eye on it. I believe there are still some seats left at my game for Jasper's Game Day. Charity game, raising money for an incredible cause for teen mental health. I think there are 2 games available. Lots of celebrity DMs. So if you don't love me and you want to, there's a couple of people to choose from. So check it out.
If you've got terrible taste and don't love Kaylee.
I don't know, playing
Truly.
like Todd Stashwick's game or something. I don't know. I love you, Todd. Sorry. Yeah, check it out. Jasper's Game Day. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm insane and I have 3 HP.
Yay! Good. Inez. I mean Sage, that's you. God, I'm in the
Me.
zone. Hi Sage, who are you? Where can people find you?
So I'm Sage, and you can find me on this channel quite a bit. Tomorrow, in fact, I'll be doing another episode of Descent into Avernus in which Celeste is a player. So if you want to see the tables turned, yes, our party has just reached their first day on the ground in Avernus, and they will do all the things they will do. Also, on every other Friday, you can see me run a Dragon Age game, and of course, on other Wednesdays, I am Cara Brynhilda, your dwarven barbarian cleric. Yes. Let me follow me at Steph the Sage on Twitter.
Yes, and if you like what we do, we are the Venture Maidens. We would love if you would give us a follow on social media at Venture Maidens everywhere. You can always check out all our back catalog of everything wherever podcasts are free on our website, venturemaidens.com. Also, right now, I do want to shout out, we have about 48 hours left on a Kickstarter that I am running for The Ultimate Guide to Hair, which is a 5th edition D&D supplement all about adding hair to your games, or the magical powers of hair, awakening the magic powers of hair, let's say. It's over 60 pages of new monsters, magic items, subclasses, races, a ton of stuff right now that is live on Kickstarter. We are less than $500 away from hitting our next stretch goal, which is very, very exciting. So please help us back it. I'm going to go ahead and post that link to that Kickstarter.
And if you don't know how you would incorporate the magical power of hair into your games, watch our demo games that we did. We did 2 episodes, one of them converting the Tomb of Horrors into the Loom of Horrors for all of your hair-themed horror. It was a good time.
It was a super good time. Both of those are up on our YouTube channel. If you want to check those out, if you're not convinced yet, those games will absolutely convince you that you should back this product. It's only $15 for a PDF. That's huge and fully illustrated and awesome. So we would love if you would check that out. But that's all. Catch us back here tomorrow night as we go to hell, 7 p.m. Hell of a different kind. But you all have been amazing. So until next time.
Cthulhu away!
Oh, Cthulhu away. Oh my gosh. Bye, everybody. Tentacles.